Hey everybody, Mark Zachary with the Real Estate Pros of Houston, and we appreciate you joining us again on this podcast. And what we'd love to do is interview some of the top agents in the entire area of Houston. And today we have one of the best guys that comes out of Katy. I think he lives in Katy. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but that's where I met him down in Katy. And Richard has a great reputation in this industry of being one of the best around. He does a lot of videos. So if you're not connected with him on Facebook or LinkedIn, different places like that, be sure and look him up so you can see all of his videos. He gives market updates, which is very, very helpful. And so, Richard, we appreciate you joining us today. And man, it is an honor to have such a bigwig in the real estate industry with us today.
Well, Mark, I'm very humbled, and thank you for inviting me out to your show.
Yeah.
It's a great show. I've got to see one or two episodes of it, so I hope this really grows to something exponential for you guys.
Well, I do too. I just want to give exposure to people that are just looking for a great realtor, and your industry and my industry is full of part-time workers. And man, when you're buying and having the biggest transaction that you will ever have, you better make sure you're working with people that are doing this full time and not somebody that gets off of work at 5 or 5:30 and then returns your call or emails or wants to show you, different houses. This is a serious business, especially nowadays with the market the way it shifted. So obviously, you're just a really good realtor in the area, and we appreciate you joining us today. So, but I like to always start my podcast off with a pretty standard question about, Richard, tell me your story. Where are you from? How long have you been here? What are some hobbies that you do? And but just tell me your story, and we'll go from there.
Sure. I'm not from here, but I got here as quick as I could. I am from the Chicago area originally.
Okay.
I started my real estate career brokering businesses in the Chicago, Detroit, and Indianapolis area with a group called Dynamic Realty. When I was younger, just to give you a little backdrop, I used to race motorcycles professionally.
Is that right?
I'm sorry?
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. I may circle back around to that one.
So, but a lot of what I learned on the racetrack applies to business today. I mean, focus. You got to focus on what you're trying to achieve. And my parents did own a power sports dealership. And they started running into some troubles, and they reached out to me while I was in the tri-state area up north, and asked me if I'd come down and help them with their dealership. And I did, and I brought that to, if we weren't number one with the manufacturers that we were with, we were in the top 3 on a national level. And knowing my passion for real estate, that was part-time, or not part-time, it was just part of what I needed to do at that moment in time. But I knew I was going to exit back into real estate full-time. I originally got licensed in 2001 in Detroit. Relocated down here 2003. I got licensed in 2009. We were going to sell the dealership. I exited once we sold the dealership into this full-time. And I launched this company in 2017, and it's just been up and running ever since, Mark.
Yeah. Now, what's the name of your company? Make sure we get that out there during this interview.
Red Lion Realty. We're not a national. We're not a chain. I'm the broker owner. If you want advice, just pick up the phone and call me. I'd love to talk with you about real estate.
Okay.
We do. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh, in the local Katy area, we are revered as in the top 1%. You did gloss over that a little earlier. We do track our numbers. There was 5,500 agents that did transactions in Katy last year, and I was ranked number 77 out of 5,500 agents. There was almost 15.
Fantastic.
Almost,
Fantastic.
well, and once you get into the top 200, almost all of those were either a builder or they were teams, and that was just my personal production.
Okay, so this is not builder listings that just pad your numbers. This is actual hard sales.
That's correct. I'm not a data clerk.
Yeah, that's funny you bring that up because I was looking at a report probably four months ago, and I saw this guy on this report, and he was almost near the top. And I called him. I said, "Man, what in the world? I had no idea you were this big." And he said, "Well, we do all the listings for XYZ builder for free to get the sign in the yard." So he didn't make anything off of those signs. But man, if you look at the production numbers, you're thinking, "Wow, this is he's a rock star." And I'm sure he's a rock star, but he was a lot bigger rock star than I even thought when I saw that report.
But the sad part is that's all data entry, and they're not actually practicing real estate. It's a facade. You know, they say, "Oh, we sold $200 million in real estate last year." No, they didn't. Their name was on it, but they didn't have anything to do with the transaction. And
Right.
and that's kind of a misnomer to the general public because they think, "Oh gosh, these guys are facilitating all these transactions," and they're not. They're putting it up on HAR active pending sold. Put it up on HAR active pending sold. They've never talked to the customer. They've never talked to the builder other than the emailed updates that they got to do weekly.
Yeah. Well, tell me a little bit about the motorcycle racing. Was it drag racing? Was it motocross? What kind of motorcycle stuff?
Well, I'll actually go back into the mid 90s. I actually raced for Team Polaris on their watercraft division. I did that for 2 seasons, 94, 95. I exited out of that and got into racing motorcycles, and I did road racing. So the guys dragging their knees through the curves and all that.
Yeah.
I did that through the late 90s to the early 2000s.
Oh my gosh. So what made you get out of it?
Well, I'll tell you, I stepped off of a motorcycle once at 170 miles an hour. I walked away. I did not get up and run back to my motorcycle to get back in the race. I was not that cool. But I want to say it was the season after that. I was on the racetrack, and we call it picking people off or passing them. And I asked myself, should I or shouldn't I pass this person? And it was just like a light bulb went off in my head. I was no longer racing
because of hesitation.
And that's when I exited. That was probably my last go around on a racetrack. Now I've done a couple track days since then, but I've never been out there and raced at that level again.
So what do you think? What do you think caused you to hesitate like that?
Well, that's when I asked myself that question. I was just at a different area in my life, a little bit older. You start naturally slowing down, obligations. But I knew at that moment when I asked myself that question, it was over, because if I would have the season before, I would have said, I got him in this turn. I would have just picked him off.
Yeah. So how long did you do that?
I did that 3-4 years.
Okay. Okay. What did you enjoy the most, the motorcycle or the water sports stuff?
You know, they were both wonderful experiences, and I would do it all over again if I had the choice to. Yeah. I was a factory rider with Team Polaris, so I competed on a national level, the 94, 95 seasons. Mm-hmm. Motorcycles, my size worked against me. So I competed in a 5-state region. I couldn't make it to the nationals because those guys are jockeys. They're 5'2", 120 pounds.
Really?
180 pounds, and every 5 pounds cost you 1 horsepower in the transfer of power on a racetrack.
God, I never thought about that. I see horse riders and jockeys, and they're like, wow, they're really small. I would not have thought that is a big deal on a bike, though. Huh?
Most of them can't even touch the ground when they get on those super bikes.
Really?
Yeah, and they
You
push.
gotta have somebody hold them up, huh?
Yep.
Isn't
Those
that
umbrella girls that they have at the starting lines, a lot of them are holding up the umbrella and the motorcycle.
Oh man! So what's another hobby that you have that you enjoy? I know one of them, and I hope you get to talk about that. But I've seen you, so maybe this is the one you're going to share.
Well, I'm a drummer.
Yes.
I've played drums since I was 4 years old. Most people would never guess that meeting me. Same thing with the racing motorcycles and racing watercraft. Most people just know me on a professional level.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I tell you what, I've seen you on several different occasions, and I don't know if I've seen you in the last month or so, but you're spot on with all these songs that I grew up with in the 80s. And I'm like, man, I need to, do you have a record or do you tape any of this or record any of your drumming?
Well, when I shoot the videos, yes, I do have a studio and a professional microphone
Yeah.
setup, but I can tell you that there's no studio magic to that. When I hit record, I play it start to finish, mistakes and all. You guys get exactly what I played. I don't change anything. I don't mix it in the box or whatever they want to call that.
Yeah.
So it's
Well, I tell you, it was impressive. I thought the first time I heard it and saw it, I didn't know if it was real or not because it was so spot on with. I mean, you could go right now and play for, I forgot what song was being played at the time, but I was thoroughly impressed. Tell them you've been doing that since 4.
I got my first drum set when I was 4 years old. My father has been a drummer his whole life as well. And then I played a lot in high school and college, live bar scene. I mean, it was a lot of fun. But I did figure out that I can't make a good living at it. So,
yeah. So were you in the high school, like, what do they call it? The drum line? Did you do that?
Actually, I did not. I played drum set, and they had a jazz drummer, so I couldn't play drum set. So I actually didn't do band through high school. No, I did it in grade school, but when it came to high school, the position that I wanted was filled, and I wasn't a snare drummer. I was a drum set player. So,
wow. So is it your goal to ever have a band, or have you been a part of a band, a regular band that traveled around?
I didn't travel nationally. I did play the local club scenes in Chicago when I was a teenager.
Okay.
I belonged to a music house, and hey, you play this type of music. These guys need a drummer at this place, and you'd go up there and sit in with musicians and play. There's no money in it.
Yeah. It's me and my wife went out to Cynthia Woods Pavilion about 2 years ago. It was right before my stroke, and we got to see Chicago. And
that's a lovely band.
Man, they were so good, and they probably half of them are new to the Chicago group versus what was original back in the 70s and 80s. And I was shocked at how good they still are. I mean, they just sound like the original Chicago.
Their horn section is phenomenal. And the way they fused that with the rock and roll era that they did back in the 70s. A lot of talent in that band. Right. 250624 is one of my favorite songs to play, and that's not an easy one.
Well, so when are you going to post that one so we can watch that? I may need to add that on to the end of this video so we can get some beat going.
Sure. My heart is time. Just taking an hour going up there, getting everything set up, warming up and playing, and getting the take done in a limited amount of time.
Is it done in your house?
It is. It's done in my game room, which is set up as a studio. I have three drum sets set up there. So you'll see different kits throughout my drum cover videos.
Man, it just looks like I would just wear myself out. I mean, is you going as hard as you go? I'm like, you have to work out to be able to do the drums.
It is a workout.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we're going to shift gears now. I want to talk about your business and what makes you so special. And so, tell me a little bit about your team and what you offer as a broker, owner of Red Lion Realty, and so just tell me a little bit about your team now.
We've always gone with the concept that the general public deserves better. I mean, kind of like what you talked about earlier, the people that are doing it for the side hustle and all of that. And there's great agents in our industry. There is. I don't discredit that, but there's also a lot of them that it's a challenge. It just is. So we've always gone with the concept that, our local community deserves better. We operate with a give to receive mentality. We try to consider ourselves peers in the community. We do fundraisers quarterly. We just did the Katy FFA Rodeo Parade last Saturday.
Okay.
We have the Gulf Coast Blood Drive coming up May 20th. We'll be doing that here in Katy as well.
Now, do you rotate these different charities, or do you do the same ones?
We try to do the same thing because it kind of layers and builds upon one another.
Yeah.
Now this summer we are changing up a little bit. We're looking at doing a back to school backpack drive. And then we do an Alzheimer's in the fall, and then the Alzheimer's National Walk. There's a big one at La Centera that thousands of people come to. And then from Thanksgiving to Christmas, we support a local orphanage and a local animal shelter. So we do drives for them. And a lot of people are under the misnomers with those kind of fundraisers. Well, I'll just donate toys and that. We actually reach out to find out what they truly need. Most animal shelters, they need kitten food. They need puppy food. Most people show up with big bags of dog food, but that's not what they need. Everybody knows the Toys for Tots for the orphanages, but you call them, they're like, we got warehouses full of toys. We need bed sheets, shower curtains, trash cans. So we try to really push and bring the stuff that they truly need to run with.
So on one or all of these charities, did you get pulled into supporting one of these because you had the situation that maybe you knew someone with Alzheimer's, or some orphans that just struggled with finding a home? Do you have a reason behind the charities that you?
My personal family has been touched with Alzheimer's. Through my grandparents and my wife's father. So that's why that one's special. Animals, everybody forgets about the animals. We've always been animal lovers. We have 3 doggies ourselves. The orphans, because I was a motorcyclist and they always did the Toys for Tots stuff. I've stuffed envelopes. I've worked with the people that run Boys and Girls Country, the Wardenberg family out there for 20 plus years. And it's just a great cause. And nobody thinks about orphanages anymore either. And then the blood drive was brought to my attention by one of our agents, Sally Ratcliffe. The last one we did, we saved 54 lives, and they used all the blood the same day that we donated it.
Oh my gosh! Wow, that's impressive. Well, that's good. I always like to hear the backstory behind, somebody's involvement in certain charities. And, I've started a different podcast that has to do with my health challenges the last few years. And it's unfortunate, some of the things that pull you into being a part of a new thing that you didn't think you were going to be a part of. but sometimes you just have something that you went through that forces you or makes you want to be more involved with that same thing, that when others go through it, you're there to support them. So I'm sorry to hear about your grandparents, and you said your father had Alzheimer's.
My wife's father, yes.
Okay, okay. Well, tell me a little bit about what are some struggles that you have in your business overall. Is it? I know you have a great reputation of training your team, and I think you mentioned the serving portion of it. What are some challenges you have in the industry right now, and and just in your business in general?
Well, I mean, if you look at BC, which is before COVID, now we're AC after COVID.
Yeah,
We went through
I
some
like
work.
that. I heard that.
Yeah. And 50% of the agents that are in our industry today, they came in during COVID, DC. So they've never seen a normal market. They don't understand what it is to plow the fields, the processes. It's not just put a sign in the front yard and multiple offers are going to come and ask 50 grand over what you think you're going to sell it for.
Yeah, and get 50 grand over the listing price.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The challenges that I'm seeing today, everybody wants this great outcome, but in order to get there, you have to have a great process. But nobody wants to do the process for the outcome. Now, we do pride ourselves with our agents. We do run a full onboarding program. We operate with the 100% rule. We do it 100% of the time. We pride ourselves with our documents, and we go above and beyond what the client expects. And that sounds like it's advanced stuff, but it's not. It's basic stuff, but there's so much turbulence and so much bad service out there that it becomes advanced naturally.
Yeah, there was a few, man, it's been probably a year ago that I called down to Hard and I said, how many agents do you have, that are licensed in this area? And they said, well, and again, this was, I think maybe even a couple years ago, there was 47,000 agents between Conroe and Galveston. And I need to call back down to see what were your numbers in the middle of last year, because a ton of people got into it because they could just throw a sign in the yard, and then the money was falling out of the sky, and they were putting on all their Facebook and all of their social media that, look at me, I got 50,000 more than the asking price. And I thought, man, why are you doing that? Because number one, it's not you, it's the market that is getting 50,000 more. And number two, you're kind of letting everybody know, he really don't need a realtor, because you can just put a sign in the yard and it's going to sell anyway. So I was always baffled by the fact that was going on. But you're exactly right. There are so many people in this business, and very few people do the 100% rule that you're talking about. They are so transactional focused that they forget about their client the minute they close, and they're off chasing the next one instead of staying in touch with the clients that they've had or just closed. And so you're always chasing the next deal instead of staying in touch with that database. And I know you guys do a great job of doing that.
And they never really build a business. They're always on a treadmill.
Right.
Those are what we call the smash and grab guys.
Yeah.
They show up, they do the transaction, they're off to the next one. And they have commission breath. You can smell it on them. When we meet with somebody, we want to find out about their family, their lifestyle, their motivations, their timelines. And is this the right thing for you to do? There's times that I've advised people, I wouldn't sell your house.
Yeah.
And that's how I make my living. but I also have a fiduciary duty. And I know that if I tell them the truth and I do the right thing, they trust me. And when they are ready, or the referrals that I'm going to get off of it, unequivocally, they just say, hey, call this guy. He's going to tell you the truth and he's going to do everything he can to help you.
Yeah.
And that stuff's earned. And that's how you multiply what you do, because the clients start working and promoting you, and that stuff just comes naturally from doing the right thing.
Right. Your clients become your new outside sales force.
Yes.
Yeah, and we all know that it's much easier to work with someone that was referred to you versus someone that found you in a newspaper or a magazine or something like that. So let me ask you this: what are three non-negotiables in regards to your business, and then in regards to your personal life?
Three non-negotiables. I'm kind of stumped at the moment. Can you help point me in the right direction here?
Well, you gave a perfect example of a non-negotiable for my team is we give 100%, 100% of the time. Are there any other non-negotiables that you have as a team or as an individual that you're saying, all right, at the end of the day, end of the week, end of the month, I have to have this done, or we don't roll to tomorrow or to next week until I have these non-negotiables wrapped up?
Well, that's kind of a moving target, because how we structure our company is that we do weekly meetings, and we have what we call a weekly to-do list, stuff that we should be able to push through in 7 days. And then we have our quarterly to-do list, which is stuff that takes more time. But again, we want to have that done within 90 days. So that's kind of shape shifting when it comes to that. However, that stuff's everything from social media growth. Here's the number one thing that most people don't want to do, and that's be held accountable. So I guess our non-negotiable there would be being held accountable, tracking your numbers, and you knowing exactly where you're at. And that's a huge benefit, because that allows you to see the turbulence before it becomes a profit and loss problem 6 months from now.
Yes.
So when I work with our agents, I'm here to improve them. I'm not here to inspire them. It's like playing sports. When your coach says, hey, you're going to go run laps, you screwed up that drill. That's done for a reason. If there's no pain, there's no gain. And I truly believe that. So, and I'm not hard on people. I'm a fair guy. I get mistakes and all that. But how many conversations did you have? How many appointments did you set? How many agreements do you have? And that helps you as an individual. And if you tell me, well, I don't know, that's a huge problem. You need to track that. The average agent has 100 conversations to do a transaction. Through our onboarding program and training, I would say our average agents hover around 40. So you're doing twice the volume, same amount of work. When you start tracking and measuring it, that also allows you to see what's working, what's not working. Here's my strength, here's my weakness. And then we can coach and mentor you and bring you up to a different level and help you overcome some of the obstacles that you're running into. And instead of viewing it as an obstacle, it now becomes an opportunity.
Yeah. So do you use Excel spreadsheets? Do you have a great CRM to kind of track? Because we teach a class about the top 5 reasons agents fail and why you won't be one of them if you do this and this and this. And one of them is just what you said, track your numbers. And I'm shocked by the number of agents that don't have a plan, number one. So you ask the goal, what's your goal? They don't have a plan, so they don't even know what their goal is. But then you question them a little bit more. Well, who did you call today? How many did you call? And they're like, I don't know. Well, how do you track your business?
You don't have a business, you have a hobby.
Yeah, that's exactly right. They don't not even, I mean, Excel spreadsheets can do wonders, but a lot of them don't even do that.
Well, we have an Excel spreadsheet that we track it with. And then in our weekly meetings, we have a whiteboard and we call out the numbers. This agent's had X amount of conversations. They have X amount of prospects that they're working, X amount of appointments, X amount of agreements. And it's a funnel and it's a flow chart. So
Yeah.
if you're not having the conversations, nothing else matters. You have to
Yeah.
be out meeting people.
So you said your agents, normal agents, have to have 100 conversations before they close one deal. And
That's a
I
national
understand?
average right there. Yes.
Okay, and then did I understand you that you said our agents have 40?
40.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. Wow, that's well. Definitely, you need better call Richard to see about joining his team. So let me ask you, when do you see yourself walking away from this? You gonna
No,
looking to retire in the next 10 years, 15 years? What's your goal there?
I have a 20-year plan.
Okay.
I do plan on franchising this out in the future
Okay.
and having a Red Lion Realty University
Yeah.
in just teaching and implementing the processes of what we do.
Yeah.
We have a strong foundation. Will our strategies change over the course of years? Absolutely. But will the foundation and the bedrock change? No.
Hmm. It's amazing that the recipe that worked 20 years ago is the recipe that works now. I mean, you have some technology that helps you be better at that kind of stuff, but the technology does not replace the personal training that you're doing and the personal touch that your agents are learning from you.
Well, this is a relationship business.
Yeah.
You have to meet people and build relationships, and you have to be genuine. You have to care about them.
Yeah.
People know when they're being snookered. They just do, Mark.
Right. Right.
They may
So would
work
you,
a transaction with you, but they're never going to come back and they're never going to refer you somebody.
yeah. Well, I heard the other day that one closing should turn into 4 referrals, and then if you get the same referral from those 4, really one transaction, if you treat them right and do the follow up, should turn into 17 transactions because that one will refer 4, and those guys will refer 4, and then just this business ought to get a lot easier the longer you're in it, and it can get easier a lot quicker if you do what you're talking about, just treating people right from the get-go.
Well, in what you just said, that also, when you peel back the onion in our company, you have an acquisition cost for what that client cost. Then what is that client truly worth to the company once you acquire them? And you have to retain them. You have to maintain that client. You can't just do a transaction and go, I did a great job. They're going to call me in 3 years when they're ready to sell their house. That's not how it works.
Right.
And the average agent couldn't tell you what it cost uh, to pick up a client or what
Yeah.
it's worth for their company.
Yeah, and
So,
then so many business books will tell you, look, it's always cheaper and more efficient to sell somebody something again versus go out and get a new customer. So, man, kudos to you for training on people how to do that. So, how big is your team? How many agents do you have, and what are you looking to grow it to?
right now, there's 4 of us practicing real estate. And our business model is to have teams of 5 to 7 agents per team. So
Okay.
it is a team environment. The standalone agent, I believe, is a horse and buggy in a high-speed train era. I mean, there is some standalone agents out there that are doing well that built a book of business, but to jump into this industry today and go, I'm going to be a standalone agent, do everything all by myself, it's impossible, Mark. I
Really?
don't see how you can make it.
Yeah.
It can be done, but man, there's just well, advertising, marketing, compliance, CE, lead referral, staying on top of everything. I mean,
And
there's
just
just
managing the office. I've got enough paper clips. I've got enough stapler or whatever. Yeah, I can see that. So do you have the team of 4 or 5, a certain person that works on the listing side, and then maybe the processing side, and then maybe the buyer side? Is that how have yours set up?
that's correct. So we have
Okay.
like a transaction coordinator. Um, right now, I'm the face of the company, so I do all the listings.
Okay.
And then we have buyer's agents, and I still do that. I also lead by example. I go out and do open houses. I host open houses and have my agents join me so they can see exactly what I'm doing, so
I've
that it's
seen that. Yeah, that's awesome. That's really this industry needs more people like you, Richard.
well, you can't sit behind a desk and then mentor somebody when you don't know what's going on out there in the field. You
Yeah,
just can't.
yeah.
So
Well,
when I
so we're at 36 minutes now, and I've always said I'm shocked how fast this 30 minutes goes. They typically will end up around 45 minutes, like we were talking about, and but I want to back up on a couple of things as about your goals and dreams. So, what are your goals this year? For your company, and maybe you have some on your personal side that you want to share. But what are some dreams that you've got?
Well, we structure our goals a little bit different than most companies. Most people will say, I want to make X amount of money this year. We're looking to service 85 clients this year.
Okay.
So last year we hit 65. I don't see why we can't do 85. So that's our goal for this year, is to service 85 clients.
So that is even in a slow down market.
Yeah.
From what you hear on the news, this is the sky is falling and all this, but you're going to increase quite a bit in this market. You've had a lot of people just fall out of this market. We've had that on our side as well, and that's. I mean, 85 is a good number. That's a pretty aggressive number.
It is. Last year we ended up finishing flat, and 2021 was a record-breaking year for us.
Mhm.
So I still believe that there's a ton of business to be had out there. It's all mindset. When an agent tells me they can or can't do something, I believe them because that's what they believe.
That's right. That's exactly right. Man, yeah, I've heard that several times. Whether you can or can't, it all depends on what you think. So,
Yeah.
so what's a personal goal of yours? Or I tell you, a better question that I like is, what's a dream that you've always had, or something you always wanted to do, but you haven't done to this point in your life, but you haven't forgot about it and you want to get it done?
I would like to travel the Orient with my wife and just spend 2 weeks over there exploring different countries and different cultures that are unbeknownst to us.
Yeah. I don't know if you ever saw this show called, gosh, what was it? Never Too Late or Never Too Old or something, with Terry Bradshaw and George Foreman and different. There was Henry Winkler was on there, uh, and they traveled the world to these different places, and they lived there for a couple weeks or a month, and they really just jumped into the lifestyle and the culture of that of wherever they were visiting. And man, they went to some crazy places, and you're like, that would be so much fun to do something like that.
Yeah,
So
so that's on my horizon. Hopefully, some of this turbulence over in those areas settles down some, and we can get back to doing a little bit of international travel.
yeah. Well, I tell you what, we'll kind of wrap up real quick, but are you looking for agents now, and do you have certain requirements before they even reach out to you or your team? You require 5 years worth of experience, or just
Actually,
what do you look for?
we're looking for probably 2 years or less.
Or
Somebody that's
less?
struggling, Yeah.
Well, that's a new way to looking at it. Look at that because you're so many people. I need five or more years of experience. You're saying 2 or less. Tell me why.
I, I don't want the bad habits to come.
Yeah.
I want somebody that's coachable, that's disciplined, committed, and truly has a passion for what we're trying to accomplish.
Mhm. Fantastic. That's great. Well, I tell you what, we will wrap up. It's about 40 minutes. We try to keep it under 45 if at all possible. How would someone get a hold of you or your team or your website, whatever it is? How would they get a hold of you if they would like to reach out and have a conversation about joining Red Lion?
I'll give you my personal cell phone number. It's 832
Are you sure?
Sure, why not?
Okay. All right.
I'm an open book, Mark.
That's
832
impressive.
646-2886. Feel free to reach out to me for a confidential interview. Or, hey, if you just want some advice and want to meet for a cup of coffee, happy to meet with you. If you're thinking about joining real estate, if you just want to pick my brain and ask a couple of questions, I mean, I'm here to help people. So
Yeah.
I figured out a long time ago that the more I give, the more I receive. So the more I help people, it just comes back naturally, not because I'm chasing. It's just because I'm doing it for the right reasons. That's all.
Yeah, one of my favorite quotes is from Zig Ziglar, and he says, "If you help enough people get what they want, you'll get what you want." I always thought, wow, that is so true,
It
and
is.
that just goes along with what you said. But all right, give me the number one more time. Do you have an email address that they could reach out to you as well, or
Sure.
just the cell, whatever you want to do?
Cell phone's 832-646-2886. My email is richard@redlionrealtygroup.com. And our website's redlionrealtygroup.com. We're on all social media, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. Just type in Red Lion Realty or Richard Luebeck, and we'll pop up everywhere, I promise.
Yeah. Well, I would invite you to call him to have a cup of coffee with him. I've had the opportunity to do that, and had a great time getting to know him. And he's just a wealth of knowledge. You can pick his brain on a lot of things, racing motorcycles, playing the drums, and being a great realtor. But definitely reach out to Richard too. If you just have any questions about real estate, because he's been doing it a long time. He knows what he's doing. He's training great agents to hopefully pass this thing off to them, and he can start vacationing in about 20 years. So Richard, thank you so much for joining us today on Real Estate Pros of Houston. This is I love doing this because I get to know people a little bit more. It's kind of tough to really get to know people over a 15-minute coffee and or a quick phone call. So I hope these podcasts and videos, just allow people to tune in and get to know you a little bit better and enough to, hey, pick up the phone. Richard, I want to talk to you about this or that. So we just really appreciate you coming on today.
Well, thank you very much for having me. And a quick shout out to Mark Zachary at Next Step. He's a world-class loan officer. So if you're thinking about a mortgage, call him. He's one of the best in the industry as well. He can give you great insights, great guidance. There's a lot of different resources and tools for you to use in the lending industry in today's market, from the 2-1 buy downs to the 5-year ARMs. I would highly advise exploring them because it's not as complicated and it's not as risky as it used to be from 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Well, I'm going to pay you double of what I was going to pay you for all that those kind words. So the check's in the mail, Richard.
I'm a highly underpaid volunteer, sir.
But he's exactly right. I enjoy the mortgage business. I've been doing it 28 years now, and man, I was hoping to be retired by now, but it's just not happening. But I so enjoy doing this, and all those loan programs that Richard rattled off. they're great loan programs, and we'd be glad to talk to you about those and see what works best for you. But so if there's anything we can do on the mortgage side, and I'm like Richard, if you just want to talk, ask questions, hey, information is free where I came from. So we'll be glad to answer any questions for you. But I'll let you go for now. And I just thank you for joining us on Real Estate Pros of Houston. And we will see you next week with a new guest. And we appreciate your time. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Mark. Thanks, guys.